Hi everyone, I'm Kate. I'm an English teacher here on Verbling, and today's class is for intermediate students, and it's about modal verbs and their use specifically for giving advice. And for those of you who are new to Verbling, Verbling is a language learning platform. It offers both group classes and private classes. The group classes are available for English and Spanish 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And for private classes, there are more languages available. Okay, so we're still waiting on some students, but welcome to Ali and Elise. Hi.
Hello. How are
Hello.
you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. Elise, where are you calling from?
I'm from Singapore.
In Singapore. Very interesting. And how long have you been studying English?
I have been studying English about more than 15 years.
15 years. Okay, very cool. Well, nice
Yeah.
to have you in class. Okay.
Okay.
And Ali, how's it going?
It's going well, thank you. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Okay. And let's see. Is it Maria?
Hola.
It is, right? Okay.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I am fine, and you?
I'm doing well, thanks. And hi, Carolina.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
Fine, thanks.
Good. Carolina, you're from, remind me where you're from? Is it Brazil?
Brazil.
Okay, that's what I thought. Cool. Well, welcome back. All right, and then we have sorry, who is this? El Corchi? El Corchi?
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Sorry, what's your name?
My name is Abdel Majid El Korshi.
Ah, okay.
I'm from Morocco.
Ah, very cool. Well, nice to have you here. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Good. And then we have, okay. Hi, Adela. Let's see, Adela, I've met. How's it going?
Hello.
Hi. And hello, Summing.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Okay. Hi, Delta.
Hi teacher, how's it going?
Good.
Hi
How about
everybody.
you? Hi. Where are you from, Delta?
I'm from Dominican Republic.
Oh, very cool. The Dominican Republic. Interesting. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And then we have Mook.
Hi, teacher.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. And you?
Good. Thanks. Where are you calling from?
Excuse me. Hold on.
Sorry. Where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Thailand.
From China. Cool. Nice to have you here.
Oh, Thailand.
Cool. And hi, Marco.
Hello, how are
How's it
you?
going? Good. How about you?
Good, thanks.
Okay. So again, to those of you who I haven't met before, I'm Kate. I am an English teacher from the United States, and I'm very happy to have you all here in class. So today's class is, again, it's for all of you, for intermediate learners. Sorry, I'm looking at Maria's message. She had a okay, so Maria had reserved a class, but she can't join. Okay. I don't know how to fix that. Okay. So, all right. So basically today we'll be talking about modal verbs and their specific use for giving advice. So before we sort of jump into these modal verbs, I want to ask, an open question to the class. Who do you usually ask for advice? When you have a problem, who do you ask for advice?
Sometimes I ask advice from my friends, close friends.
You ask your friends? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Anyone else?
as your father, your parents, your
Mhm.
friends. So if you could do something, so this is wrong or not.
Okay. Good. And does it depend on the problem?
Yeah, depend of the problem.
Yeah, right? If you're sick, who are you going to ask for advice?
Doctor.
Should I take something?
Yeah, you might ask the doctor, right? You're not going to ask, I don't know, I probably wouldn't ask a best friend, I would ask a doctor. Okay. So yeah, so, you know, we ask it, we use these verbs a lot, right? Common problems. The specific question we'll be asking a lot today in class is, what should I do? Right? What should I do? Okay, and again, the modal verb here is should. So let's talk about these modal verbs, and then we'll see how we can use them in these sort of problem and solution situations. So, modal verbs. Has anyone studied these before? Do you know any of their uses? So these are verbs here. I'll give you some examples. These are
Modal
verbs.
verb.
Yeah, these are verbs like can, could, should,
Should.
yeah, will, must, may, might, right? There are a lot of them. Has anyone studied these before? Do you know
Yeah,
what?
permissions and abilities and well,
Yeah, good. Okay, so permission, abilities. Anything else?
yeah. I think I think my my I do that.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Can I do that? You should do that. And
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, and I'm hearing a lot of background noise, class. So make sure that if you're not speaking, yeah, good. Okay, great. All right. So just make sure you unmute yourselves if you do want to say something. Okay, yeah. So as he was saying, we have they're used for things like ability, permission, right? Can I open the window? May I use the restroom, right? Things like that. They're used for ability, right? Saying things like.
What about should, teacher? So
Sorry?
shall I? So we can use in this case.
Sorry?
Shall I?
Shall I? Yeah. Okay. So, shall is actually, at least in American English, it sounds very formal.
Is
So,
like what?
Shall is like should. Shall
Oh, yeah,
I
okay.
is like should I, right? Or I will. It could be I would or I will. I'm not sure about how it's used in British English, but in American English, it's very formal. It almost sounds outdated, right? It sounds old. So it's something we would read in, books from the 19th century, right, or the 18th century even. So we don't really use that much. Okay, but as some of the class was saying, so these are verbs we use to ask for permission, to express obligation, right? You must do something. You have to do something, right? To express ability. So I can do this, or I can do that. And the thing that we'll be focusing on today is giving advice, right? So, yeah?
Suggestion.
Yeah, giving a suggestion. And so,
or
yeah?
about obligation, about you should and you must. It's two in the modal verbs or not?
Yep, those are still the modal verbs, right? So today what we'll be sort of looking at is how we can give suggestions, advice as suggestions, or advice as stronger obligations, right? So if you say you must do this, that has a different meaning than you should do this, or you might want to do this, right? Some of them are stronger, and some of them are sort of more polite or weaker ways of giving advice. Okay. So just a simple example, right? You might tell a friend, you should stop smoking, right? So these you should sentences, or I think you should do this, these are really common in English. We use them a lot, right? What should I do? You should, da da da. Okay, so all right. So an example. If your friend is failing a class, imagine that you are in this scenario. Your friend says to you, I'm failing a class. I study so much and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. What should I do? What sort of advice could you give him?
Can you repeat again, teacher?
Yeah, so if your friend is failing a class, what could you tell him? What advice could you give him using these modal verbs?
You should start
You can use to.
Sorry? Wait, I think
With
Maria...
modal verb.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
1 second. It's okay. Maria, why don't you go ahead and then... It was you, right? Okay?
I say that you should study.
Good, yeah, you should study, right?
You should study.
You should study. Good. All right, and what was the question? I think it was Delta?
No, I just correct her because she, with modal verb you can use to. I think so. So she said that you should to. So that was wrong.
You do not use to, right? With modal verbs, yeah, okay, so you should study. I think she said that right. Okay. All right, so what if we want to use, if we want to give him stronger advice? What if we really, really think that...
You must.
Yeah, you must study.
You must study.
Or you have to study, right? Okay.
When you finish, I have a question for you.
Okay, what's the question?
Or for all students here. It's from lessons. I am a beginner in English and I need your advices. How I can talk English very well. This is, I can introduce it from the lessons.
Okay, good. So for instance, so everyone heard his question. I'm a beginner and I want to improve my English. How can I learn to speak very well? So my advice for you, I think it would benefit you to take some verbling classes, right? You might want to try some different group classes, or you could even sign up for some private classes. And but either way, regardless, you have to practice speaking. I think that's very important.
What about reading books?
For reading?
What about reading? Yeah.
I think you should look for books that are specifically for English learners. Okay, so
that's great.
Yeah. Okay, so did you see? I was able to use a lot of different modal verbs there, right? So a few things to note about these modal verbs. They're different from any other verbs. Okay, they don't change their form, right? And they don't have an infinitive or a participle, right? They just stay the same all the time.
You can advise me to learn English with grammar in the same moment, or only communication and...
I think that you should do both.
That's good.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Good. Okay. So again, these modal verbs don't change their form. Okay. So for the third person, with verbs, we usually add an S at the end. In these verbs, we do not. Right? They stay the same. Okay. So specifically, okay, hearing a lot of loud noises here. I don't know where that's coming from. Okay. All right. Everyone, make sure that your microphones are muted if you're not talking. I'm hearing a lot of noise. Class. Okay. All right. So today, specifically, we're going to look at these modal verbs. Okay. For giving advice. Delta, I think I'm hearing a lot of noise from you. Okay. All right. So the verbs we're looking at today. All right, so I've just pasted them into the Verbling chat box. Okay, so we have had better, would, have to, must, must not, should, shouldn't, why don't you, could, couldn't, might, might not. Okay, these are, a lot of these are modal verbs. A few of them are not, right? Like why don't you is just sort of a fixed expression. But these are all very common sort of things that we use when we're trying to introduce advice, right? When we want to indicate that we're giving someone a suggestion. So what I want you to do is take these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, there are 8 verbs here, 8 modals or phrases. I want you to put them in order from the strongest to the least strong.
You
right?
can put, sorry, in the Google chat.
Yeah.
Because Verbling don't work for me.
Ah, okay, sorry. I'll put this in the Google chat also. Okay, so here you have these 8 verbs. I want you to put them in order from strongest, right, the ones that express obligation, to least strong, so the ones that are more a suggestion. Okay? So take a minute and do that, and then I'll ask you. Okay, so which of these is the strongest?
Must.
Yeah, must. And there's actually one that's about equally strong as must.
Have to.
Must and have to. Okay, so we have must, have to. And just a note, with English speakers, for whatever reason, when we're speaking, we tend to use have to a lot more than must, right? So it's sort of uncommon to hear a native speaker say, you must do this, right? It sounds very, very formal. It's probably used more frequently in written instructions. And when we're speaking, we tend to say you have to. Okay, even if you're talking to, even in like a business situation, we would still say this. Okay, all right. So what's sort of next in this order of things? Must, have to. What comes next as far as strength?
Had better? I don't know.
Yeah, actually, that's great. Adela, had better. Had better. And here, you'll often hear native speakers make a mistake with this. So we abbreviate you had better. We abbreviate it. We use a contraction and say you'd better, right? You'd better wash the dishes, or you'd better study. But the native speakers will often make the mistake of just saying you better, right? We don't even say the had. So you better
Is stronger than would.
Sorry?
Is stronger than would.
Than would or could?
Yeah.
Than would, yeah.
Would.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You better is stronger. So you'll often hear you better or even sort of a you better. Okay? So just note that that's not grammatically correct, but it's something that you'll hear a lot. Okay, so we have must and had better. Sorry, must, have to, had better. What else? What comes next?
Couldn't, couldn't.
A little bit stronger than that is
Why don't you, or maybe should?
should. Yeah, should is almost is pretty strong, right? It's a definite suggestion, right? You'd better is stronger, I think. But if you say you should, it's a definite suggestion. So I would say should and shouldn't come next. And then we would get to the other ones, right, which are sort of all on an equal level. Why don't you? If I were you, I would. So we have why don't you, would, and then I would say could and might not, and might are sort of the weakest. Right? You might want to do this, or you could do that. Right? This is sort of a very polite way to give someone advice. Right? If you're speaking to your boss, or you're speaking to someone very important, you would probably say, oh, you might want to try going to the gym, or you might want to try changing the introduction to this paper, right? It's something that's that's much more sort of formal, and it's less strong. Okay, sorry, I want to make a few more points, and then we'll practice these. So the modal verb would. We use this in an interesting way to give advice. Does anyone know how we use this? The verb would.
No. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. So we use this. Yeah, we use this in
to a request.
To make a request. Okay, but if we're giving advice, the way we use this is often is using the second conditional, right? So we use the sentence, if I were you, I would, da da da, right? So you're sort of saying what you would do, right, if you were in that person's position. Is that clear?
Yes.
That means we use would in the conditional.
Yeah. And that's, I think, the sort of most common way to give advice using would, right? Saying, if I were you, I would do this. It's quite common. Okay, any questions?
If you use would in a question, is a request.
If you use would in a question, yeah, it's sort of I would say it's an offer. Like we often use it with, would you like to, da da da, right? It's sort of an offer.
Yes.
Would you like to do this? Or you could say, would you mind? Would you mind helping me with this project? It's the same as saying, do you mind?
Okay.
Okay?
It's ask for something, no?
Yeah, good. Okay, any other questions so far?
Can I use would in the sentence except the with? We don't use the sentence with when I use would.
Sorry?
My meaning is no with.
Say it again.
Okay.
I don't understand.
Just would. Yeah.
Okay. For giving advice, we use would in these if sentences.
Oh.
So without the if, it's not really a helpful modal verb for giving advice. Does that answer your question?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Let me know if you want me to.
Also, I'm very confused between will and would.
Okay.
In which situation I needed to use will and would.
Okay. So will is used for the future, right? It expresses the simple future,
Yeah.
right? So she will go to the bank, right? She
Yeah.
will go to the bank. That's the future.
Can I use the
She would,
sentence?
right?
Yeah. She would
Would
go.
express it. So will expresses the future. Would
Oh
expresses
yeah.
possibility, right? She would do this if it
Oh.
were possible. It's sort of expressing a hypothetical situation.
Oh.
So specifically, we use the hypothetical, if I were you, I would, da da da, to talk about or to give someone advice.
That means if I use would, I should use with together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. All right. So I want to look at some situations where we can actually use these verbs now. First, are there any questions? Any other questions? Okay. So let's sort of look at how we use these different verbs in the same scenario. So imagine I'm going to give you an example problem. Okay. It's a silly problem, but we'll see. All right. We'll see what your advice is. Hold on. Okay, so John, I'm going to give you a situation, and I want you to give me advice. John has a problem. Okay? He saw his best friend's girlfriend with another boy, right? Holding hands at the mall. He wants to tell his friend, but he's afraid. What would your advice be to John? What would you do? So I want you to first give me some advice with must or have to. So we're going to go in order from these strong advice verbs to the least strong. So first, I want you to give John some advice using must.
You must to tell him the situation and the history.
Yeah, right? You must, and remember, we don't use to. You must tell him. Yeah, good. So you must tell him, right? And another way of saying this would be what? A modal verb that means the same thing as must.
It's the same with have to.
So you have to tell him, right? You have to tell him. Okay,
So
good.
you should tell him.
Yeah, you should tell him. Okay, that's a little bit less strong, right? A little bit less strong. What about had better? What advice could we give him with had better?
It has better you ask about it before to broke with her.
Okay. All right, so I would say you'd better ask about it, right, before breaking up with her. Okay, something like that. Right? You'd better ask her about it before making a decision. Okay? So here it's so you could say something like it's better if you do this, but the expression that we're trying to use here is you had better, right? You ought to. Okay. And what about let's see, what about could or might? What advice could we give him with could or might?
you could speak with him because he's a very good friend.
Yeah, good. You could speak with him because he's a very good friend. Great. Okay. And might?
You might ask the daughter, her daughter, about it, about the problem.
Okay. Her daughter, you said.
Yes.
Whose daughter? Sorry, Adela?
You might ask her daughter, her daughter, her brother, her sister. Sorry,
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mistake.
Ah,
Her
got it. No
sister
problem.
about the problem.
Okay, good. Yeah, okay. So you might want to ask, her sister or whatever about the problem. Okay, good. And so here with might, it's okay to say you might ask her about the problem. We often say you might want to, right? So we sort of use this phrase, you might want to, to introduce advice. Okay. All right, so that's sort of, and the last one, using would with a second conditional, what advice could you give John? Using would.
If you are very angry, you would broke your relationship.
Okay, there I would use could, right? If you are very angry, you could end your relationship, right? Or you should end your relationship. Here with would, we want to use the if I were you, right? So what advice could we give using this conditional sentence? If I were you, anyone?
If I were you, I would call him the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, good. So if I were you, I would call him in the next 10 minutes or soon. Great. Okay, good. So so that's sort of an example of how we can give sort of different strengths of advice, right, for the same scenario, right? We can use different modal verbs to express either an obligation, you have to break up with her, or a sort of weak suggestion, right? You might want to ask her about it first. It depends on how certain you feel about the situation. Okay, any questions here? Okay, so for those of you asking in the chat, my name is Kate. Okay, so so I'm going to give you some imaginary or hypothetical problems of mine, okay? And I want you to give me advice. Okay, so I'll ask you individually. Who would like to go first?
Okay, me. Maybe.
Okay, Ali, great. So I'm just going to offer an example problem, and I want you to give me advice. Okay, so my problem, Ali, is that my dog won't stop barking. What should I do?
You should take him veterinary, something like that.
Yeah, you should take him to the vet, right?
Yeah.
You should take him to the vet. Okay, great, perfect. So Ali here used a medium suggestion, right? It's not too strong, it's not too weak, just neutral. You should take him to the vet. Okay, good. Let's see, Carolina, I have a problem, and my problem is that I can't seem to save any money. I can't save any money. What should I do?
You should stop of wasting money.
Good. You should stop wasting money. Yeah. Okay, you should stop wasting money. But Carolina, the problem is I don't know how. I make money and then the next day it's gone. Right? And I feel like I'm only spending it on important things.
So you should think before buying something.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Good advice. You should think before buying something. Good. Maria, I have a problem, and it's that I don't feel confident speaking English. I don't feel confident speaking English. What should I do?
You should learn to speak English.
You should learn to speak English, right?
Yes.
Good. You should learn to speak English. Okay, good. Marco, I have a problem, and it's that I want to meet people from different countries, but I don't know how.
You could buy a ticket for a plane.
Yeah, you could buy a plane ticket.
Yeah. And meet the people around the city and different city and traveling again for the other city.
But remember my other problem? I can't save any money, so I don't know if I should be buying plane tickets. Is there any other way I could meet new people?
If I were you, I would go around by train because it's cheaper.
Great. Yeah, if I were you, I would go around by train. Great. Okay. Very good, Marco. I like that you used some different structures, right? You sort of changed how you were phrasing the advice. Very good. Okay. So I have problems sleeping at night. What should I do? So Ming, what should I do? I have problems sleeping at night.
You should go to the doctor. Go to visit the doctor. Maybe the mental doctor. Maybe they have a mental problem.
You should go to the psychiatrist.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. You should go to a psychiatrist because you might have a mental problem. Okay. All right, but okay. All right, good. So, one thing I noticed, good advice from everyone, but with the exception of Marco, I heard a lot of should. So we're going to do this again, but this time you are not allowed to use should. Okay, so I want you to use different structures in your answers. Okay? So, Ali, I'm bored of my job. I'm really bored of my job. What should I do?
You could quit your job and find another job.
You could quit your job and find another job. Okay, great, good. So here he used could. Is this stronger or less strong than using should?
Less strong.
Yeah, it's sort of a weaker suggestion. Great. Good. Okay. Carolina, I have another problem, and it's that I want to exercise, but I don't have enough time. What should I do?
You you would to sit there some time or schedule to do exercises.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I couldn't hear it.
Okay. You would spare some time of your schedule to do exercises.
Okay, so remember, we use would with that specific structure, right? That if I were you,
Okay.
I would.
If I were you, I would spare more time in my schedule to do exercises.
And so I think the verb that you're looking for there is I would, what could you say? I would set off more time.
Set
in
off.
Yeah.
Okay.
In your schedule, right? Or block off, that's better. I would block off more time in your schedule.
Okay.
Right? Okay. For exercise. Yeah, good. Sorry, I couldn't even think of the verb myself, right? So I would block off or schedule more time for exercise. Great.
Block off or set off, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Great. Okay, Maria, I want to stop smoking. What should I do?
You must leave smoker.
You must. So here the verb we use is quit, right? And so
left. Oh,
are you talking about? So leave. Okay. Leave, it means the same thing as quit, but right? But with smoking, we usually say you want to quit smoking or stop smoking. Yeah. Okay. But Maria, the problem is, I want to quit smoking, but I don't know how. How can I quit smoking?
You should. You should. Kaldi? I am sorry. You should lose help to doctor.
Okay, so you should ask a doctor for help.
Okay.
Okay, and what about using a different modal verb besides should? So one of the other verbs we talked about, like could, would, might.
You could help a doctor.
Yeah, good. You could ask a doctor for help. Good. Great. Okay. Good, Maria. Okay, a few more problems. Marco, I'm always late for work.
Sorry?
I'm always late for work. What should I do?
You have to wake up earlier.
Excellent. Yeah, you have to wake up earlier. Great. Good. Okay, and Sung-Ming, I don't have very many friends. What can I do?
What friend?
Sorry?
You say again.
I don't have very many friends. So I'm new to my city, right? And I haven't met a lot of people, let's say. What can I do?
You should go to the church.
You should go to church.
Yes, because they have many people you can know, and many people in the church.
Okay. All
Maybe
right.
be your
Interesting. Okay, and what about using a different verb? A different verb besides should.
oh, you have to.
Okay, good. You have to. All right, and so Ming, if you tell me you have to go to church, is that a stronger suggestion or a weaker suggestion than you should go to church?
I think, but if I use you use the have to. That means for have to is for the responsibility.
Yeah, it's stronger,
No,
right? It's
no,
stronger.
stronger, yeah.
It's,
But if I give you a rice bit, I will use should
uh-huh.
more than the have to.
Okay, so you personally would use should.
Yeah, because
Okay.
that is not very important.
Uh-huh. It's more of an option, right? If we use should, we're saying it's more of an option. Have to is more of an obligation.
Yeah.
Okay? And we're getting some good suggestions from the Verbling box. So Huang said you should be open-minded, right? So you should be open-minded. Has everyone heard the expression open-minded? Do you know what it means?
Just think different.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it means to be accepting of new ideas.
Yeah.
To be tolerant. And Abdo also, if I were you, I would, right, not will, I would practice sport. Right? Another good suggestion. But remember, you want to use would here. If I were you, I would practice sports. Okay, so some other good suggestions from the chat box. So thank you. Okay, so any questions from the class? Okay, so now, what I want you to do for the rest of class, you are going to practice asking for advice and giving advice to your classmates. Okay, so now what I want you to do is think of, you know, an imaginary or real problem that you have, okay, and ask one of your classmates for advice. Okay, so who can think of a problem, either real or imaginary, and ask a classmate for advice?
Ali, I don't have enough money for retire. What should I do?
Good. So good, Ming. I don't have enough money to retire.
Okay.
What should I do?
What should I do? Yeah.
Good. Okay, so Ali, can you give him some advice? And remember, try to vary, to mix up the structures, right? Don't always use should. Okay.
Okay. If I were you, I would continue to work for several years, maybe.
Good. Yeah, if I were you, I would continue to work for a few years. Okay, so Ming, how do you feel about this advice? Do you like Ali's advice?
There is good advice, but I think if I run a lottery, is better than work for for a few years. Yeah.
Okay, so you think that it would be better to win the lottery? You don't want to work anymore.
Of course, it's better, but
Not very realistic advice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right, Ali, can you think of an imaginary or real problem and ask a classmate for advice?
You could buy a bond in some banks.
Okay, so you could buy a bond in some banks. This is more advice for some Ming. Okay, good. And so you mean to make some extra money?
Yeah.
Okay, so Ming, what do you think about that advice? About Marco's advice?
I'm sorry, I beg your pardon.
Can you repeat it, Marco?
You could buy a bond in some banks.
Buy a bomb? What's a bomb?
A bond.
Bomb?
Marco,
bond.
the question is, what's a bond?
It's
Buy a
hard to
bond
explain.
is bond. But the bond is just little bit interest. That is not enough for my retire.
Okay, so he's saying it's not. He wouldn't make enough interest to actually make enough money to retire. Anyway, okay. So a difficult problem from Sung Ming. Okay, but good advice from Marco and Ali. All right, Ali, do you have a problem to share?
Advice. I rob a bank.
You should rob a bank. Okay. Interesting advice. So Sung Ming says, he says, okay, I'm not listening to your realistic advice. I need to either win the lottery or rob a bank, right?
Or you could get a better job maybe.
Good. Yeah, you could get a better job. Okay, great. All right, so what's our next problem?
Okay, my problem?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a dog and I love my dog very much, and my girlfriend afraid of my dog, and she wants to let it go. She don't want my dog in our home. What should I do?
Okay, good, interesting. Who would you like to ask for advice?
Maybe Caroline.
Okay, so Carolina, his problem is he has a dog that he loves very much, but his girlfriend doesn't like the dog. What can he do?
You should convince her that your dog is kind and he won't bite her.
Okay, good.
I told her, but she's still afraid.
She's still afraid.
So you should ask her to take a walk with your dog for you have to ask her to take a walk with your dog. So this way she could see that he's fine. The dog is fine.
Okay, good. Yeah, so you have to ask her to take a walk with your dog, so she can see that, you know, it's not a big deal. It's fine. Ali, what do you think?
Okay, maybe it works. I will ask her.
You think that might work?
Maybe.
Okay. Good. Okay, Carolina, could you sort of ask the class for advice on something?
Let me see. I've been looking for a job for more than 1 year. What should I do?
Good. Okay, this is a common problem, right? These days, I've been looking for a job for more than 1 year. What should I do? Carolina, who would you like to ask for advice?
Sun?
Okay.
You shouldn't give up. You needed to overcome the problem. maybe you try to visit the the job from the internet. There may be there may be more chance for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Carolina, what do you think?
But I did it before. I don't know. What should I do?
Okay, so you're saying you've already done that, right? You've been looking, you looked on the internet, and you still can't find anything.
Okay.
So Ming, what else can she do?
Yeah, I think you should marry a rich man better than private job.
I didn't understand. You should?
He's saying you should marry a rich man.
I'm not that kind of girl.
Good. She said, I'm not that kind of girl.
I'm not that kind.
Good. Okay, so Ming, I love your advice. You give fun advice. Okay. All right. So let's see. Who has yet to offer a problem? Who still hasn't? Let's see. I think Maria and Marco.
Yeah.
Would one of you like to ask the class for advice?
I want to lose my my fat. What
You want?
I could do.
You want to lose weight?
Yeah.
Okay.
What I could do.
Good. What could I do? Or what can I do? Mm-hmm. And who would you like to ask for advice?
Maria?
Yes. Could you repeat, please?
I want to lose my weight. What I can do?
I don't understand.
He said he wants to lose weight. To lose weight is to become skinnier, to become less fat.
Yeah.
Keep fit.
He is a fat man.
So he's overweight.
I don't hear you write in chat, please.
Yeah. So he said, I want to lose weight, to become skinny, to become thinner. So he's fat and he wants to become skinny. Skinny.
He's a fat man? Oh.
Okay, so what can he do?
You should put on a diet.
You should go on a diet. Good. Yeah, so the phrasal verb we use there is to go on a diet. Good. Excellent. Yeah. And Marco, do you like this advice?
No, because I love the chocolate. I want the other one.
Good. You love chocolate, so that's out of the question.
Yeah, I want another advice.
You want another advice. Maria, what else could he do?
If you don't go on a diet, you could illness. You should practice sport.
Good. Yeah. So good. Yeah. So
This is better.
it's better. You say. Okay. Good. Yeah. And so Huang said something similar. Some people in the chat. You should go jogging or skiing, swimming. Right. You should exercise. Okay. Good. So we're just about out of time. Are there any questions before we end the class?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all very much for coming to class. Please feel free to message me with any questions you have. And otherwise, just have a great day. Okay, I'll see you all soon.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.